This is an Ignite Annapolis bonus podcast.
Well, we jumped up here to the Arundel County Food Bank again on Marbury Road in the, I don't want to say in the shadows of the Crownsville Hospital Center. You're in the heart of the Crownsville Hospital Center, but we were with Executive Director Leah Paley, as well as Marketing and Communications Manager Melanie Kincaid. How are you guys doing today?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
Awesome. I'm ready for fall, man. We had a couple great days of winter where it was really, really nice, and now the humidity's back, and you know, what are you going to do? But fall is on the way. The Renaissance Festival is getting underway. They're talking about the corn maze up in Gambrels. Kids are moaning and groaning that they're going back to school.
I know mine are.
Teachers are moaning and groaning even louder.
Can't blame them.
True. But what we did is we wanted to talk about September, which is a big month for the food bank and the food banks and just across the country, and it's Hunger Action Month. I read an article, and I don't know Leah, whether you were the one to answer this, but I read an article recently where you were saying that, you were quoted as saying that the need even now is still exceeding even where we were. I think it was even where we were during the pandemic, or maybe before the pandemic. And it sort of blew my mind because, I mean, you pick up the news and, you know, COVID is like you have to look up what it was. Nobody's talking about it anymore. It seems so far in the past. You talk about unemployment as being low, and those were sort of the drivers the last time we talked. And I mean, why is the need still so great?
Yeah, I do agree that people are trying to put COVID behind us and the aftermath of COVID and some of the other extenuating circumstances such as inflation and gas prices and Russia and Ukraine. All of those things combined have left us with the need really not going down. When we look at the numbers and we have a lot of data available to us, we are seeing that when we compare last June, so June 21 to June 22, we actually saw an increase in the number of individuals that we served. It went from about 27,000 to 39,000. Now that's the year over year.
But that's we'll say a COVID year,
yeah,
versus a non-COVID.
Versus a
you know, air quote on non-COVID. Yeah. But that's amazing to me.
Yeah. Yes, it is. And when you look at the entire year, and when I say year, I mean our fiscal year, which is July to June. When we compare the year that just ended to the year prior, the number is down when you look at that height of COVID. But when you look at the year before last, so two years ago, when really there was just a sprinkling of COVID at the end of the fiscal year, that number is 200% higher the year that just ended,
right,
just in terms of how many people were served.
Do you think this is because, I mean, during COVID, okay, we were all forced into this crazy, world that it was. Do you think that the food bank was sort of an unknown entity, or the help that they offered was somewhat unknown, and there were more people struggling that we didn't know about, that all of a sudden say, oh, well, gosh, we can work with the food bank and, be able to have some more money to buy, more gas, or, that summer camp for the kids, or the, whatever, the field trip for the school or something like that. It almost seems like it was like, okay, we've now discovered this great resource and we're using them. Is that a possibility, or?
Well, I do believe that the pandemic shone us a light on food insecurity, and also helped to increase awareness about the resources that existed, and also through government funding and private dollars, it gave additional dollars to be able to do more. I would still quote that when we look at the number of people coming to access services during the pandemic versus prior to the pandemic, we're seeing about 50% of those individuals telling us, I've never gone to a food pantry before. So I do think that overall there was an increased need. I mean, we know that there were a number of people who lost their jobs or had their hours reduced, their pay cut, maybe got COVID, were out of work, didn't have sick leave, those sorts of things. So I just think overall the need increased. People were so many people are just one paycheck away from being food insecure, and so that really heightened that need. So I do think that played a significant role in why we ended up serving more people during the pandemic.
Okay. Well, and you mentioned one paycheck away from being food insecure, and I mean, I don't think that's something that's foreign to most people.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, as much as we like to think that we're living in this, wonderful world, and it's not all Facebook. It's not everything that you put on Facebook. And I mean, we are all struggling. We're all, with inflation and everything else. We're watching our dimes and our nickels and everything else. Is there a typical person that is food insecure that you have? I mean, I imagine this crosses, all socioeconomic. I mean, boundaries and racial boundaries and everything else. I mean, there's no.
It does. I mean, when we look at our county, we know that Arundel County is a county that is predominantly white. But when you look at who are those individuals who qualify for SNAP benefits, that's Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, what we probably more commonly know as food stamps. When you look at that information, though, and that's really doesn't include everyone who's food insecure, because that the eligibility criteria is not necessarily in line with how one comes up with who is food insecure, and so I would say that when you actually look at SNAP beneficiaries, you see that a lot more people who are Black, who are Hispanic, are eligible for and utilizing those benefits versus white people, which make up predominantly the majority of our county. So I do believe that it's important to recognize that people of color are disproportionately affected, although that everyone of all colors are impacted.
Okay, that makes sense. And I do also want to mention out for those that are listening too is that you're not just here at Marbury Road at the Crownsville Hospital Center. I mean, you are taking this show on the road. You supply food pantries. You supply organizations that set up the pantries. So, I mean, if somebody is living deep in South County or deep in North County, there is access to food from the food bank in their closer community than in here in central Anne Arundel County, right?
Yes, that's correct. So our organization serves as a distribution hub. We collect the food and distribute it to over 70 partners throughout the county. So these partner organizations are in every different community where there is a need, and we really do focus on areas where there's higher levels of poverty, where it might be a census tract known as a food desert, where there isn't sufficient nutritional food in that community. So we really try to hone in on where is the biggest need and make sure that we have relationships with partners in those communities who are responsible for distributing that food.
You said 70?
Roughly 70 partners across the county.
That's giant.
Yes.
That's giant. It's funny you said food desert, and I had never heard that term until about 2 years ago. And I don't know whether you know Jessica Packler over in Eastport. She's the queen of volunteering for everything. And she was telling us that like Harbor House and Eastport Terrace and stuff like that was a food desert. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, oh, what are you talking about? You're just stirring something up. And I had never heard anything. I said, the Giant is, a mile and a half down the road. And apparently that's out of the realm of, for that neighborhood to be able, they need to have someplace to be able to walk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I learned something new, and I was educated. So
yeah, and it really is important of course, to be able to access nutritional items in order to have a healthy life and to be successful. So, we really are trying to look at where are the gaps in service, and to fill those gaps, it may be having a community partner who's already in that community who we can supply with food in order to be able to feed our community members. And we're providing that food for free. So we are eliminating any barriers for our partners in the community to getting the food to be able to distribute it.
Right. And I know in that article also that we talked about, you were quoted as saying that you're buying a lot more food than you were receiving as far as donations go. I mean, obviously, you still do take donations of food.
Yes, that's correct. We do take donations of food, and I would say there are a few different contributing factors to why, I should say, to how we've acquired food has shifted. Prior to the pandemic, there really just wasn't a lot of money flowing into the food bank in order to purchase food. And with the COVID relief funds made available through the federal government, we have been able to purchase upwards of $1 million a year for the last 3 years in food, whereas prior to the pandemic, we were looking at maybe around $185,000 worth of food purchased.
And then operationally, you've got, you can't have a whole warehouse during COVID, height of COVID. You can't have a warehouse bustling full of volunteers all elbow to elbow sorting things out. And, people were hesitant to go out. So that makes sense.
That's very true. We 100% of the volunteer workforce initially at the start of the pandemic was paused. That our volunteer program, just to be able to assess what was safe, what wasn't. A number of our community members who were seniors, who had been the majority of our volunteer population, didn't feel comfortable coming out, of course, and so we had to rethink what our workforce looked like, since we had such a huge number of volunteers that were assisting us. And thankfully, through that federal funding made available, we were able to hire individuals who are now our workforce in the warehouse. And that has actually helped us significantly with respect to the efficiency of our operations.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, aafoodbank.org is the website, and you can find out where to get food. You can find out where to donate food. You can find out what is needed there. Also, money. Let's face it. I mean, if you're buying more food, you're going to need more money. And I don't anticipate, the COVID funds in existence 30 years from now.
No, well, they're as far as we know, they will not be in existence after June 30th, 2023. So, we have a huge concern that, of course, is something that keeps us up at night, and that we are doing a lot of work internally to identify other funding sources so that we can continue to purchase the food and pay our workforce so that we can maintain our operations, because as we've been talking about so far, the need has not diminished significantly, and we don't anticipate that it will, at least for the foreseeable future.
You guys are such a vital service, as just as vital as the police department, the fire department, or public works. We need to be safe. We need to make sure our houses don't burn down or get cut out of cars. We need roads to drive in and water to come to our faucets. And we need to eat. And
food to eat. When we look at the hierarchy of need, Maslow's hierarchy, the three basic needs of having shelter, food, and I think, is it air? It might be water. I got to brush up on that. But food is there, and if you don't have food to eat, you can't really do very much of anything else. So it is vital to survival.
True. Well, I'll tell you what, I wanted to switch in because September is a huge month. And I think this is probably Melanie's ballywick here that's going on, but it is Hunger Action Month. And is that a nationwide event?
It is. It's a nationwide awareness campaign about food insecurity and hunger that we face. And right here in Anne Arundel County, we're making it specific towards here in Anne Arundel County. We're having many different events and educational type activities that are happening. For example, on September 13th, we're having Pamela Brown, Dr. Pam Brown, come, and her talk is inflation's impact on food insecurity. So that's just a way for you to come listen in over Zoom.
Huh?
Yeah. For sure. And she is a wealth of information. She has her finger on the pulse of the statistics that are going on in our county. And she is going to be able to just really speak specifically to what is happening with our families in relation to how inflation's impacting them and their food security.
And where's that going to be held?
Just over Zoom. So you can sign up online. You can find those links on the aafoodbank.org/action and get that link and sign up right then and there.
I know you guys had a great crowd when you did, I think it was your annual report about 7 months ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, I think you're correct. It was about 7 months ago.
It was the big crowd on Zoom. It was impressive to see the little I love charts, with a big old this is how much we did last year and this is how much we did this year. But so what else is happening with Hunger Action Month?
Yeah,
I mean, you said we've got this, and you said that's on the 13th.
The 13th. So I was kind of giving you some of the upcoming events that we have. September 22nd, and we are so thankful for being one of the beneficiary at Ignite Annapolis.
And that's a lot of fun. At Maryland Hall, it's I call it like a TED Talk light type of a thing where you come up with a topic, you get 15 slides, they're pre-timed, and they don't wait for you, and you've got 5 minutes to tell your story. So it's very interesting. Tickets are on sale. You can get them at igniteannapolis.com, and that's really going to be a fun night. It's about 3 hours trying to figure out all sorts of different things. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll think at the end, and the proceeds from that, and that will be a sellout. It has for every year that it has. Again, we'll go to the Anne Arundel County Food Bank, and I'm sure that we'll be speaking with you up on the stage and everything else. So you've got to make sure that you get your.
Do I get 15 slides in 5 minutes? No.
Yeah.
Pressure's on.
That's the surprise for you.
Yeah. But we're looking forward to that and so grateful for that opportunity to partner with the Ignite, and I know it's going to be a great event.
We also, our kickoff event is September 1st, and we're going to have a food drive. We're going to be at the Wise in Odenton from 5 to 7 p.m., and you're welcome to come on by and drop off some food. And the great thing is you can pick up some of these little passport books that you have in your hand. And it's basically like a scavenger hunt to fight hunger throughout your community. So you pick up these passport books. There's different actions for you to do not only throughout the county, but also you can do that on your own, like sign up for our email list. That's an action. Or sign up to volunteer on our website. That's an action. And we're really fortunate to have Jessica and Bruce Morgenstern Local Impact Fund.
Right.
They're donating $5 for every action that you do. So you get this passport book, let us know what actions you do, and then they'll donate. We get $5 for every action that takes place. But the great thing is we also have amazing prizes available. So if you do these actions and let us know, you're supposed to return the passport booklets at the end. And there's QR codes all around town as well that you can answer questions with our local business partners that are also participating. But Live Casino is donating a staycation. Katzif Brothers and Bud Light, they're donating 4 Diamond Club tickets to an upcoming game and parking. And we also, Watermark is absolutely wonderful. They're donating a 22-person chartered boat on their Miss Anne, and that's $1,000 value. So there's many different things that you can win while helping fight hunger in our county. Our final thank you event at the very end, we're calling it the Cruising Out Hunger, on September 29th, and that is Watermark has donated that entire boat to us so that we can bring about 200 supporters together and really just celebrate everything that has happened throughout Hunger Action Month.
I'll tell you, Jake and Laura are so great with Watermark, and that's on the Harbor Queen, right?
Yes, it
is.
Right,
that's a big old tacky boat that sits at the end of City Dock that everybody just absolutely loves. I've been on so many parties there. It's just such a great asset.
It is such a fun boat. I've been on it a few times, and we're going to make it even more fun, because not only are we going to have this awesome cruise, we're also going to have a live band and food too. Bread and Butter Cafe is providing some food. And who's the band again, Melanie?
Red Betty and the Ruckus. So
I'd love the name. I don't know the band.
I know. Yes, but I'm going to be there.
They're actually one of our supporters as well through their business. So Himmel's Landscape and Garden Center, they're connected with that band as well. So
very cool.
Yeah, Himmel's is at one of our passport locations, and you go there. We're making it social at Himmel's, so you take a selfie while you're there wearing something orange and finding something orange.
This is great because I mean, anywhere you can go around the county, and again, which is where the areas that you serve, you're able to do something. And I mean, you can do it in your living room. You can do it in your kitchen hey kids, on the school bus on the way to school. Still blows my mind what Leah was saying about the need, how it still is growing, and I don't doubt for a minute that you guys aren't kept awake at night wondering about when Uncle Sam's money does dry up a little bit to figure out where it is going to be. I mean, Bruce and $5 is great, huge and generous and everything else, but it's not going to be something that's going to sustain it 20, 30 years down the line. And I think it's a wonderful, fun idea to do. And I mean, it's a cute little book. It's 4 by 5 or something like that. Fits
Maybe
right
about the size of your passport.
That it could
Slightly bigger.
a little bit bigger, but it will
You
still,
get the idea.
but it'll fit in the back pocket of your jeans.
Yeah.
And you can got all sorts of check marks there, and you can put your name right in there and turn it in at the end of the month, or I guess earlier if you want to come down to the cruise and present it there to get on the boat.
Exactly.
So that's pretty neat. Well, Hunger Action Month, it's somewhat of I say a misnomer. Okay, it's a great month to be able to bring out the need and the awareness and everything else. But I mean, as we discussed, this is a year-long, multi-year, multi-century type of a need that has to continue on. And it'd be wonderful if on October 1st we looked at the books and we looked in the pantry and we could see in the future and say, okay, well, Leah and Melanie, sorry, you guys are unemployed.
Be a great problem to have had solved, and to say I'm unemployed. And I wish by October 1st we could do that. But of course we all know that it's going to take much more than just us and our community to solve this problem. But we are looking at not only what we can do, but what we can do in conjunction with our community partners, with our local government, and of course with other stakeholders like our donors, to try to alleviate food insecurity in our county, because it's a need. I mean, we are looking at around just over 8% of the county's population that are considered food insecure. It's just under 50,000 people.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you said that is this a problem that can be solved?
Ooh, how much time do you have? No.
I mean, to me, it doesn't seem like it is. It seems like it's a manageable problem. I mean, it's a problem that can be managed at some point.
Yeah.
And we may not be there, but I don't know whether it can be solved.
Yeah, I mean, it would change. It would require some significant change to our systems and our, I think, political mentality as a nation. I mean, that's just my thought, because I think there is very much a mentality of picking oneself up by their bootstraps, and also I think there's still a lot of negativity tied with one accepting assistance. And so that in and of itself, I mean, people don't want.
That's just such a bunch of BS. Because you know what, I've tripped over curbs in my life, and I really appreciate when somebody says, "Hey, can I help you get up?" And that's exactly what this is.
But when you trip and fall, I'm guessing that the person is thinking, "Oh, that's an accident. He fell. Let me pick him up." And I think there are a lot of people in our country, and not everyone, but I think that there is this mentality of, well, if you're in this situation, you're the one who got yourself there, and you need to get yourself out of it.
And that's not the case. I wish that attitude wasn't there, because it's certainly I'm sure there is, maybe I did throw myself off the curb. There's so many different circumstances, and that whole adage, you walk a mile in my shoes, and you don't know what everybody is going through and what their situation is. And again, as food being such a critical component of life, we got to get behind it. I mean, we really do.
Absolutely, and I think there are some efforts underway when I see just within the state of Maryland groups like Maryland Hunger Solutions, or I think about legislators that have championed certain causes, have sponsored bills, or even are supporting our operations in order to help us continue to be able to sustain here in this facility. So there are definitely groups of people who get it and are working hard to spread awareness and to address things from a more systems level, looking at federal waivers for like the continuation of the free meals at schools. And unfortunately that waiver, which had been extended for some time, has expired. So kids going back to school now, some of whom who no longer qualify. I mean, there are many students who no longer qualify, but there are some that may be above that mark of who qualifies or not for free and reduced meals, who truly are still considered food insecure, who no longer have that food accessible. And now we're going back to, I think, a negative stigma attached to it. When everyone got it, everyone gets it. You don't think anything of it, but now it's just, those students whose families are poor.
Are poor. And that's ridiculous. I do know that a lot of the students that do get those meals, whether they, typically be subsidized or whatnot, that is often the only bit of nutrition that they get. And I understand that. I mean, if you're in a situation, you may not be able to get the most nutritional thing if you're trying to feed a family of 4 or a family of 5. To be able to do that, you may not be able to get the quantities to do it.
Absolutely. And just because you can access, Cheetos regularly at the corner store does not mean you're food secure. You're very much food insecure if the food that you're acquiring is not healthy. So very much to your point, these nutritious meals that students have access to through the school system have been critical, continue to remain critical, as well as supplementary programs like our Backpack Buddies program. We have partnerships across the county, I think, with 22 different schools. Yes, Melanie, shaking your head.
I think that's what we ended with this year.
And we have been able to supply students who qualify for free and reduced meals with backpacks that contain snacks and meals that are considered nutritious, and they're able to take that home over the weekend or for school breaks.
To give them something that they may not get at home.
Absolutely.
Who would have thought in this day and age that I'd be on the side of the lunch line lady? With the food. I mean, I remember getting lunch at school. It's like, oh,
yes.
Pizza, yes.
School meals have changed, though. I mean, when I go out to my school-age kids' classrooms and I see them in the cafeteria, I mean, they really, the school district has done a lot to improve nutrition, and it is wonderful to see things that are healthy, but that my kids still are interested in eating.
And that goes to higher education too. I mean, I know when my kids were looking at colleges and stuff like that, you look and it's like the options that they have, and it's like, we've got the vegan buffet and we've got the veggie, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. Oh. It was meat or meat.
yeah. Or can we get to McDonald's before it closes, whatever it is? Well, as we go through the year and we go through the month, we want to fill out our passport. Where can we get these passports?
Yeah, you can go right online to that aafoodbank.org/action, and you can fill out that online form. We can send it to you. You can pick it up, or you can come right to our warehouse and pick up a passport right here.
That's awesome.
And can I add, we are encouraging a $20 donation for your passport. While that is not a requirement, we are encouraging that as a donation or more if someone is interested. And that, again, is money that comes to the food bank that helps us to be able to purchase food and to pay our wonderful staff and to keep the lights on.
Well, I'll tell you, going forward into October, November, December, January, February, March, April, all the way down the line, and lather, rinse, and repeat. We want to look for food drives. I mean, there's going to be food drives all over. I know the schools do Harvest for the Hungry, which is always a pretty big food drive.
Very big food drive. And this is actually the 35th year.
Really?
Which is really exciting. And we've had the opportunity to take a closer look at some of the numbers. And I mean, this really is one of our biggest, if not is the biggest food drive for us every single year. And last year raised over $100,000 for the food bank. And we've looked at, I think, upwards of, in 1 year, just a few years back, 200,000 pounds of food. So we are teaming up with Anne Arundel County Public Schools, the Department of Education, to challenge the school district to beat some of these numbers in honor of the 35th anniversary, and they're really excited about it.
A little competition. Never hurt anybody there.
Exactly.
And the competition continues on with the realtors as well. They do their own Harvest for the Hungry campaign, and realtors across our entire county are collecting food, they're collecting funds, and that culminates at the end of, I believe it's the end of October as well. So.
And wasn't there something with the post office?
Yes, the Stamp Out Hunger, and that's the spring, correct?
It is the spring, and this was the first year back since COVID.
Right.
Getting the awareness back up again, getting our postal offices back in the habit of collecting for us. That's
getting life back into normal out of COVID is just it's like that rusty engine. It's like, we got to figure it out.
We'll get there.
We absolutely will. We can organize food drives in our neighborhoods, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That is an action in your passport booklet. So
one action, $5, and a step closer to winning that cruise at the end of the month, just by hosting your own food drive.
Awesome. Your work, that's an easy one. I mean, if you're back in the office, solicit your coworkers, I guess, to bring in food.
And money. Maybe you also want to bring the group out for some team building and do some volunteering here at the warehouse. We have so many amazing businesses in our community who have come out and worked together on our sorting line to help us do our work.
Well, what do you need as far as, I'm going to guess that if I bring a steak with me, that's probably something that I could be all wrong, but it's probably something that you probably don't want. That's something that we'd probably prefer to buy. Maybe you buy it frozen or whatever it may be. But what is the need? I'm assuming that baby stuff, and you guys do that too as well, right?
That's correct. Yeah, we have 14 partners that operate baby pantries throughout the county. So we do receive diapers, wipes, formula, which is slowly ticking upwards again in terms of inventory. So we do accept those items. So those are critical because if you also think about it, individuals cannot use their SNAP benefits in order to purchase diapers.
That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and that's one of the most expensive darn things about raising infants.
Although I am thrilled that there was legislation passed this past session that would, I think, eliminate taxes on those items.
It helps.
So that helps significantly. So those items are very much appreciated. I do think, yes, non-perishable is probably appreciated. We are typically purchasing protein and produce items, although we had a lot of supporters very excited to share on social media our post about gardens, and
just your local gardeners are coming in and giving any of their bumper crop that they have, all those extra tomatoes or cucumbers that are growing in your gardens right now. You can bring that in. Make sure you check in with our front desk so we can put that right in our refrigerator and get that out to our member agencies.
And you've got a cool little deal going with Wild Kid Acres and Gerardo as well.
Wonderful. They are phenomenal. We're so proud of them, and we were just so touched to have them reach out and want to donate the proceeds from their first harvest to us. The proceeds being the actual food. And I know we've had some green beans come in so far, and there's some other items that are coming in soon. So we're excited about that.
That's a great little place.
Yeah.
If anybody's got any kids or not, I mean, they do goat yoga. I mean,
Yes,
how
everyone is talking about the goat yoga.
I mean, and they do the monthly farmers markets, which are great, and they're getting ready to build their the barn and the I won't say carousel, but the round
rotunda,
rotunda.
Right? Is that what they're calling? I think. Yeah, they're wonderful, and there's so many other local farms that we have recently partnered with and have offered us either discounts or the excess from maybe a farmer's market, what was left over. So that's just been great, because nourishing food, especially the produce that is fresh, is just so very important to health outcomes. And so we've really tried to bump up how much of those items we are giving out. And I think just under 900,000 pounds of produce went out this past year.
Wow. Well, here's something just came to me. What do you do with, I mean, okay, you said that we are predominantly a white county.
Yes.
I know that we've had the Hispanic and Latino population has just zoomed up, and I think they're probably about like 20% or something like that, or approaching 20% now. And obviously, there's ethnic foods and stuff like that come involved in that. I mean, how do you work with that? Do you handle that?
We do. So I will say that through being able to purchase food, it gives us more control, of course, over what we purchase. So knowing that there might be certain pantries where they are predominantly serving a certain population, and they have shared with us, we really could benefit from X, Y, and Z items because the client population seeking our services are asking for these things, then we can look for those items in bulk and make sure we're purchasing them and giving them out directly to those partner sites.
That's cool. So you're in tune with your clients that are the folks that need your services.
Absolutely. We want to make sure that they're getting things that they can use, that they want to use, that it's very much more in line with a client choice model.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess there's nothing worse than giving out giving out a meal and go, oh my God, I hate peas.
Yes.
Come here, Fido.
Absolutely. We want people to come and say, yes, this is something that I can use and that I'm excited to eat and can make a meal for my family.
Right. Well, donating is easy. You can go to aafoodbank.org. You can do it right there. You can, if you've got a check with several commas in it and maybe a lot of zeros or something like that, you can bring that over here. And they'll take you out to lunch.
We'll roll out the red carpet.
But I'd love to see a red carpet here.
Yes.
This doesn't look like a red carpet kind of. I mean, this is such a working warehouse, and you can tell that there's a lot of work that gets done here. But you can volunteer to work here at the food bank. You can look for other ways throughout the community to help. If you can, donate food, donate your time, donate, cash. It's all easy.
Absolutely. Follow us on social media. You can share our posts, comment, all of that stuff that just can, in addition to supporting us directly, help us spread awareness about food insecurity, about the good work that we're doing.
Well, the thing is, and again, you want to remember too that we're all very, very close to being food insecure. If you really think about it, and I do encourage everybody to think about it, you're probably going to realize that you're a lot closer than you realize. And I can't think of anything more locally focused than feeding your neighbor. And that's just really gets me, is to say, this is my neighbor down the street is struggling to feed his family. And, but for the grace of God, I'm good. I'm okay. But I can help, and it's you're the central clearinghouse to be able to bring it in and make that happen, and I think it's just a wonderful thing. And I mean, we do all need a helping hand sometimes, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with asking for help when you need it.
Absolutely agreed.
But get your passport. Come on down to Marbury Road and check out their facility here. It's a really quite an impressive operation that they have. Volunteers and staff all working very hard to make sure that everybody in our county, the 50,000 some odd people that are food insecure right here, our own neighbors, are getting the nutritional food that they need.
Yes.
And no Cheetos, right?
No Cheetos. No. Cheetos every once in a while are okay. Yes, but absolutely. And I would just add that it takes a village. We are so grateful to all of our volunteers, people who live in this community, who live throughout the county, who organize food drives. There are so many groups that are every single year, every single month are organizing a food drive. Individuals, businesses who have supported us time and time again, our local government partners, the state, we couldn't do this without them. So very grateful to them, and thank you to you, John, for this opportunity.
aafoodbank.org is where you want to go. And thank you to Leah Paley, who is the CEO. And are you CEO and executive director?
The CEO, yes. Yeah, that's an exciting concept that came out of our organizational improvement process.
So you're not an executive director?
No, that's a title that...
then I apologize.
That is okay. That apology accepted.
I don't have to curtsy or anything like that, right? Okay.
No, that's not necessary.
But thank you, Leah Paley, who is the CEO of the Anne Arundel County Food Bank, and Melanie Kincaid, who's been handling all the marketing and all the outreach and everything else. And you guys have done a great job. I mean, I think, COVID sort of forced the hand a little bit, but I mean, you guys took that ball and really ran with it. And I think, you're doing just such a lion's share of work. It's pretty amazing. But get your passports. You can go online. They'll have them mail it out to you. You can come pick it up, actually save the stamp, and you can learn something new when you come out here to do that and do your actions. And we want to make sure that at the end of September that Bruce and Jessica are broke.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And that we see each and every one of you listening on the cruise on the 29th.
Fantastic. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you for your work. And I can't wait to get going for Hunger Action Month.
Awesome. Thank you.
This has been a bonus podcast from Ion Annapolis. Please visit us at ionannapolis.net. Follow us on Facebook at All Annapolis and on Twitter at Ion Annapolis. And if you haven't subscribed to the Daily News Brief podcast, go for it. And all of your local news will be delivered to your phone, tablet, or smart device by 6 a.m. every Monday through Friday.